is approval of the minutes of the July 2023 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
Was that you, Janice?
Yes.
Mhm. Can I second it?
Sure.
Okay, I'll second it. And then the July 2023 meeting minutes have passed.
They were sent out with just a few changes. They were sent out a second time with the changes, and that's what we're approving.
Okay. What were the changes, Nancy?
Let me get my copy. I had tracked that, hang on, I can read them to you. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Did you misspell Clary's name? Was that one of them?
I misspelled Clary's name. That was one of them, and I fixed that. I'm looking for something that Charles had said.
Hey, Sal, how are you? You're muted. I can't hear you.
Sal. Let me pull them, Erin, and I'll read you the exact one.
Okay.
But I can't. Oh, right. It's right here. Hold on. Okay, we're talking about engaging the city for 2023. And it will now read, we're talking about inviting the mayor to a commission meeting this fall so that the city's priorities and projects could be discussed and commission priorities outlined. It now reads, in preparation for such a discussion, it was determined that the commission's August 2023 meeting would be dedicated to prioritizing our concerns and outlining a way to communicate them to the city in an ongoing, regular basis in order to keep issues before the city's administration. Chair Bergman will follow up regarding the appropriate contact within the administration for these communications. He asked the commissioners to define areas of interest and/or concern such as playground maintenance and accessibility, and be prepared to discuss and prioritize these concerns at the August meeting. That's how the approved minutes will read.
Okay, sounds good. So in that fashion, the next part of the meeting is a discussion about our 2023 to 2024 commission priorities, because the goal is to refine what we talk about tonight and be able to present them to the mayor if he visits us again in October for our meeting, for our commission meeting then. So would you guys rather start system-wide with the parks, or would you rather start with specific concerns about certain parks? Does anyone have any preferences?
I have a question that maybe Sal can answer. We talked back in the spring about playground equipment that was going to be purchased by the city. And it was my understanding that we were sort of under the gun for ordering it, and that we had the funds to pay for the equipment, but not necessarily, but the installation would, and the maintenance would be ours. Do you know where that project is now, Sal?
I don't. Dan Dominguez was working on the funding.
Okay.
I've heard of it. I know Charles was in touch with Dan for a while in reference to the CDBG money, but that's as far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna follow this up during the playground improvements, Nancy, but where it stands now, it's in the lap of Tom Valenti. He has to give, I think, his final approval, and Dan and him have not been able to connect to be able to do those final approvals for the playground equipment. That's
Okay.
where it is now. Let's start with priority parks, are there any parks that the commissioners have specific concerns about?
I think the parks that we narrowed down on in terms of the playgrounds, like from a playground perspective, I think those have been heightened,
Okay.
and a plan has been presented and agreed on, not only by, the commission and Sal as the head of parks. So I think that's in a good place in terms of high need playground related parks for the new year, for the upcoming year. So I think playgrounds, I'm not saying that everything's good and golden, but I think we have a good plan based upon what has already been presented and noted and socialized.
What are those parks again, Judith?
Does anyone have the paperwork in front of us? So
Well,
it was all,
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. No, go ahead, Judith. Go ahead.
no, go for it, Sal, if you know 'em.
I know the couple parks. Joyce Kilmer was one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Quentin Tot Lot.
Yeah,
The Cossack
Cossack. Okay.
Park, Simplex Park.
Yeah.
Those I know were
and the school park.
in the school park. That's correct. Those were at Archibald. Those were
Archibald.
McKinley School, right?
right.
Yeah, so I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parks that have been put in that proposal for the new equipment and whatever else, was suggested. That's 5.
Well, the new equipment was proposed for all the parks, but those
Yeah.
5, 6 parks were the primary ones.
Yep. Yeah.
And
That's
you
5 parks that we have.
And you met with like a representative of Burke, right? The playground equipment, and you and Denise got to kind of, was Charles
And
there too?
Sal.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Sal,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
You guys
4 of
got to
us.
like, yeah, you got to like talk about what type of, we got to be part of the conversation about what type of equipment is going to
Yeah.
be in the parks.
Yeah. So we all went out on the like visual assessment, if you want to call it, and chatted about it and talked about obviously some of the limitations that we had with the money that we wanted to take from. So from there, we chatted about what was appropriate, given the, given the criteria that we have to follow. And then Sal obviously was essential in terms of from his point of view. And then the Burks guy was there too, and then he went away. So we all had an agreement as to what we wanted to see back from Burks. And then Burks came back with the proposal as to what each of the park could entail based upon the budget that we had. And then so on. Now the conversations are where you let off on today with Tom Valenti.
Yes.
So yeah,
That's
I think it was a really good, I think it was a really good conversation. We had all the relevant parties from the get-go involved and so on. So it's just now a matter of, getting Tom and whomever to hook up.
yeah, Tom and Dan to finally have a conversation. Two very
Yeah.
busy people.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you hear me? I had a quick question.
yes.
Just as it relates to your original question, the one question, park specific item I had, and maybe Sal, you already know this, but the splash pad at Recreation Park, that was what I was curious about, what the status was on that. If it was in the works or had any awareness of what would it take to repair it or where that stands. That's the one I had. Thanks.
Yes, it is in the works. We're waiting on parts for the manifold. The playground or the splash pad there has been vandalized several times, and we had
Right.
to change
Okay.
the actuator button, and then they vandalized the manifold, which is on the below the surface. So we had to get a couple parts. We're still waiting on, and I had a quote from the plumber who is actively working on getting parts for it. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we should be able to get that running as well.
Okay, great. Thanks, I appreciate it.
No problem.
I kind of wanted to touch upon something since we now have the dog park in Boyd Park. I think it'd be really awesome to have a dog park in Bucolic Park, replacing some of those tennis courts with a dog park. I think that would be really
Oh.
cool.
You're gonna have a nice uphill battle on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
There's-
actually, I have
Is that like
to
a thought that you've had or no?
Well, yeah, we did. I've been passing that around for about a year or so now. That area across from the senior center, that open field there, I wanted a dog park, but what's her name? Stephanie. Is it Stephanie? The woman that runs the senior
From
center?
City Center?
Yeah.
Melanie.
Melanie
Melanie.
Ford. I'm sorry, that's Stephanie. She's totally against it. She's afraid that dogs might get loose and seniors are petrified of dogs, and it's going to create a problem, and you know all the things that come along with having pets and the dander and this and that. So she shut that down pretty quick. As far as the tennis courts go, we're actually converting some of the tennis courts to pickleball courts.
Is that what's happening with all of them? Okay.
Right. Tom is working on getting a whole, I guess, contract done from an engineering firm or architect firm, and to put it out for bid. So not just that park, but all the parks, all the tennis courts. So that's what's happening with that. So I don't think we're going to be able to convert any of the tennis courts at Bugler Park into a dog park.
Okay.
But still, isn't there room in the park? So go back where I don't know what the condition is, the garden, the new garden, and where your supply area is, where you kind of dump the stuff.
Well, yeah,
In that general vicinity, couldn't we install one there? Not
sure.
not exactly where I'm saying, but in the
Yeah,
general vicinity.
I know exactly what you're talking about. As a matter of fact, that was my my second option. If not by the senior center, is to put it right by what we call our holding area.
Yeah.
There's a big spot there that you put a dog park, or the other location would be on the back side of the mansion, along the George Street side, which there's a nice big, not on the, well, it's not literally on the back side of the mansion. If you were to go up the mansion path from, what's that, George Street or College Ave, the road that connects there, it's the area to the left, the wooded area to the left that we could convert into a nice, dog park type of thing. But that's something that we're going to have to get some type of approval for. There's 3 different locations that we can put in addition to the one by the senior center. And yes, one is over there by the old garden.
So how do you move it forward? Is it us, like we did in the first launch of the dog park, is putting together a proposal as to the second launch, and these are some possible locations?
Right.
And
Well,
like,
this is the start right here. with you guys discussing it.
right. But I'm saying in
Your
terms of,
input, obviously your input matters, and coming up with ideas. You guys all know the park, Bugle Park, and if you have any areas that you may think would be a good spot for it, then what we could do is I could put some type of a plan together with Alex in the different locations, and then we could present it to the mayor and have him pick the best location for it.
all right, well, let's say what the areas are then. Right now, what are the suggested areas? If the seniors,
That's out.
that's
was
out,
my
right?
original, right. That whole
And-
open field there was my original plan, so that's out. Melanie Ford is completely against it.
What are the
So
other ones, like the
other
official
one,
areas?
second choice would be where you said over by the old garden, not inside the garden, but that area, the perimeter outside of it, just outside of it. But if you know where that Porta John is,
Yeah,
between Porta John and the garden, that open area there. would be
Okay.
a nice, large open spot for a dog run. And then the other sections would be again in the back, either by the pump station along the embankment, by the pump station on George Street, or on the path leading to the mansion on the left side, coming in from George Street on the left side of the path.
What are the in terms of the possibilities of either of those two areas, what would be the sizing, or is it similar to Boyd? Could it be bigger than Boyd? Like what
Oh yeah, it would be bigger. It would be bigger, without a
are
doubt.
you able to kind of give us like what you think the dimensions would be
I
for
haven't
each of
even.
those areas?
I mean, I
Not
barely can
today,
tell you.
not
I
right.
mean, I could, what I could do is I could, have a plan made out, like
Yeah,
some type of sketch.
yeah.
I'll walk through it with Alex in the next couple of days and
All
go
right.
over the different locations, have him put it on a plan, and we'll come up with the square footage, and then we'll present it, to the Parks Commission, and we can vote on it.
I think that'd be helpful. One of the reason why I'm talking about the dimensions is obviously it's essential, number one, but the feedback that I'm getting from Boyd, while it's a great park, everyone's happy about it, they do think it is on the
Small.
smaller side. Right. So just
It's funny
kind
you
of
say that.
feedback.
Funny you say that. I've had feedback from people that are coming in with smaller dogs from Highland Park that actually like it better because it is smaller,
Yeah.
especially for the small dogs, and they have their own dog park on the other side of the river at Donaldson
Yeah.
Park.
Yeah, I've
And
been
they're
there.
coming here to use our dog park.
Oh,
So,
well, good. Well, yeah, I haven't heard all like everyone's saying, but some people, I think with the larger
the
dogs might
larger
be
dogs.
thinking that, that's so it'd be good to have maybe like a larger park, right? If we
Right.
were to launch. All right.
Yeah,
That's
it
all
would
right.
definitely have to be much larger than what it is now. We would,
All right.
I guess
That'd be
put
good
more
stuff.
effort into making a larger, especially for the larger dogs.
Yeah. All right. That's great.
Now, when you mentioned that it's a hilly area, will that cause a problem? Is there enough flat area that it'll be able to be level?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to come out, I'm always at the park, so you guys can come out. You want to come out and take a look, and I can walk you through it, and you guys can see it for yourselves. That one area would need to be cleared out. It's a wooded area, but we do have a flat area, and then I mean, it would actually be kind of interesting looking dog park because it's not going to be completely flat, but it's going to have different contours. So it would actually be an interesting little area for dogs to run and play and whatever. It's shaded, the whole area is shaded. But again, come out, take a look, and I'll show you the three different locations, and you guys can see for yourselves.
Okay.
Can I ask, in terms of the original area near the senior center, I understand the concern that was expressed. Do they have an alternative suggestion about what should go there or what could go there that would not be problematic or not fit well with the senior?
Muted. What in the world is that?
I don't know.
All right. No, they don't have anything specific at this point. We're just gonna. We're actually next couple of weeks. We're gonna do some type of seeding.
Oh my God, what is happening?
Is that mine?
I think we're good now. Whoever was here left. That was really strange. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we're just gonna leave it as an open field for now. We're gonna seed it, grade it, seed it, and leave it as an open field, and possibly make a soccer court out of it. soccer
Yeah.
field.
Mm, that'd be good.
That's what the intention is.
Well, then, Aaron kind of beat me to it in terms of dog related, in terms of themes. So obviously the second dog park would be great to put on the priorities. But I think also creating almost like a awareness plan and engagement plan post the launch of the first official dog park that's up and running. So one of the things that I wanted to put forward, and I have like a rough shell, so I can send it out maybe this week, but like a proposal for a series of dog related events at Barkside Park. So again, bringing people together, socialize, learn, event based outside of just your playtime. So some of the things that I was thinking about, and these are already, they're not necessarily new events. It's just putting it forward and maybe having more of a plan. But in no particular order either is like relaunching the Yappy Hour socials. So have the individuals meet at the park, let the dogs play, and then potentially one or two restaurants host the Yappy Hour, post the event, and do some form of specials or whatever, working with the restaurants. And I think that would be like working with Pam Stefanik on that in terms of some form of engagement and getting her, to work with us on maybe having a bit more of a plan around that, but using the dog park as a centralized meeting place first, and then continuing on to the happy hour. So that's something like we can chat with her about. And the other one is, again, dog training workshops and or health or wellness fairs. So maybe like a combo of those. But Denise already has a contact at the 4-H. It might be worth, obviously, Denise and myself, whomever, reaching out to see, how can we do dog training? What would that entail? But maybe if we can get it this year, I don't know, or next year, kicking off with it, but something along that line. The other one was more of like dog, again, related, of course, but fun runs and or obstacle courses, and allow some educational talks too and workshops. So something along that pattern. Maybe they can be all combined into one in terms of training. Maybe it's like a series like training one, workshop one, training one, like some kind of programming, and that has like X amount every other week, every third week, some dog sponsored event at the park itself. The other last two was, again, we want to go out and do the doggy park rental for parties. And Sal, you were there, and that lady with all the little chihuahuas and her crew were very interested and approached Denise about that. So I think we need to definitely look into that within like now. So the rental aspect. And then the last one was maybe doing something for like a doggy Halloween, like a costume contest, something like that. But again, at the park. And then, maybe restaurants want to sponsor something after, just, bring your dog in and get a free drink. But that could also be working with Pam on that, in terms of us bringing it to the table, putting together a proposal, seeing where she has funny money to fund it. And if not, maybe touching base with the Open Space Trust Fund or the mayor's team to get some funding to do it. So those were like the 5, 6, 7, 8 themes that I had in terms of specifically Barkside Park. And again, for me, it's about, it's creating vibrancy, engaging environment, awareness, um, and getting people out there. I think it's being used, but I think we just need to continue on this path of heightening the awareness of it. So that way we have really good learnings too for Sal and whomever, when we launch the second dog park too. So I will put together a bit more on that. Like I said, I have a very rough shell on it, but I'll put together a couple slides, and I think Denise is still interested in continuing on with the dog related events, and
Yeah.
anyone, thank you. And anyone else that is interested in terms of kind of, you know, getting a bit more detail on it. Equally, obviously, we need to meet with Pam on some of these things and iron them out a bit more, see what's realistic in this portion of the year versus next year. So if anyone's interested in that, let me know, or Denise or whomever, but I want to kick off sooner versus later and have something a bit more concrete for the next meeting, but equally fast track the Halloween event, given that it's already August 8th. So we have a little bit of time to potentially roll it out this year, make it like cheap and cheerful, and maybe next year we learn from it and make it a bit more heightened. But just something again to the awareness side, the engagement side. So
Mhm. I think the two things that came to mind as you're speaking about that, Judith, one is I think we need to understand what the city's commitment will be to and who they would see being point for us on some of this. You know, we obviously will do a lot of the work as the commission, but there are certain things that have to be communicated within the city. And if if it's a series or an ongoing, then we probably need to engage someone who will stay with us and know what that is. I don't know who handles all the other types of activities that might go on in parks right now, or if it's one-off. That was one thing. The other thing is to potentially see if Mallory Kohler would be interested in participating if we put together a little subcommittee or advisory group or whatever, because she's got so many good ideas and contacts and interest in this. You know, her pack walks are well attended and she really engages the businesses, and there's a lot of support for not only for the dog walks, but for the businesses. They buy, they buy breakfast or coffee after and before and after, and it's a kind of a win-win. So those would be my two thoughts about it.
yeah, so on the first point, so at National Night Out, I had an opportunity to chat with Clary pretty quickly. And I did say to her, you know, we are, you know, putting together some thoughts and feelings on moving forward. Specifically, I really do want to heighten the awareness, everything I just said to you guys to her. And she said, I'd love to hear what you're thinking. And, you know, maybe she is the initial kind of springboard for a city-based champion for this. So she was very open to it. And equally like not only open to it, but she said, yes, make time as soon as you're ready. I want to hear what's going on. And I said, I hope you have a little bit of a budget. And she said, let me think about that, but equally come back with me and I will find money. So I think that she would be our starting point, and then from there, figuring out who all should be stakeholders, you know, and or primary point of contact within the city, not only from the socialization and the communication, but equally funding. So, and then from there, we can have the private entities such as like New Brunswick dog walks and things like that participate as like obviously an external stakeholder. But that's kind of the direction I was going with. You just beat me to it in terms of that. But yeah, she was more than willing to have a session as soon as anything's ready to like talk through and discuss.
That's great. Thank you
Yeah.
for taking the lead on that.
Yeah, no problem. So
Do you
then
guys
on my
go
side,
for it?
I'll prep a little bit more, right, outside of what I just said, and then from there, maybe get something that can be sent over to Clary, and then have a quick, you know, a chat with her, an informal but formal chat, just her, and then get her thoughts and feelings, and then maybe move forward. But I really would like to emphasize the Halloween event and maybe make that actually happen this year. Some of the other things would be great to do, but maybe we kick those off next year.
Sounds fantastic.
Cool.
So I think we've identified certain priority parks that we're working on. Does anyone have any thoughts on like system-wide things that need to be um focused on? Like all the parks?
I think that I know Judith, for one, has been championing this for about 5 years now, the ADA equipment. And not only the equipment, but also the pathways and the accessibility. And I think we ought to keep that on our radar. My other question is about the Nielsen Street Pier.
Hmm.
And if anything's happened, Sal is smiling because
Well, they're coming close.
what's happening?
You know, there's going to be a small dog park there. It's a small little.
That's what I hear.
So I don't know how it's going to play out with the other, with our current dog park. But in any case, they have a small dog park that's going to go in there. They're kind of towards the final stages of the planning. As a matter of fact, I spoke with Tom Valenti today briefly on it. So that's where we're at. They're at the final stages, but there is a dog park in there. If that really makes a difference.
So, Sal, the dog park in Nielsen Street in relation to the dog park at Boyd Street, do you know how, like from a size perspective?
I don't know if it's size, but it's not to that extent.
Right.
It's probably, from what I understand, it's a little pocket park, I guess, dog park, maybe for just the locals. I don't know. Yeah, we didn't get much, too much into it, but I could find out.
Yeah.
I'll have
Well,
more.
yeah. I mean, it's obvious that it's not going to be as big, right? Because the Boyd Park, while we might think, or some people might think it's small, it's very decent size. But if you take Boyd Park, Dog Park, Barkside, and put that in Nielsen Street, it's probably half of Nielsen Street
Right.
or close to.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be like probably just a small little pocket.
Yeah. All right. Well, that will be interesting.
So,
Is that
Sal, can I ask if oh, I'm sorry, Nancy, you want to say something?
okay? I was just going to ask Sal if that's a fall project or a spring project, or we're not sure yet.
We're not sure yet. Like I said, they're in the
Okay.
final stages of, planning, approving the plan. But that hasn't come up as far as the construction part of it. I doubt it's going to be this fall, put it that way.
Okay.
My question, it's actually probably twofold. One is, I know that the local residents were not really very in favor of the dog park element in that Nielsen Street Park. I think there was a concern about barking and how small it would be, and people coming there with their dogs back and forth on the street, similar to, I guess, what the senior center is saying. Is it your understanding that we're talking about an off-leash park, or are we talking about a potty park, which is very different?
I really don't know what it is. I mean, my understanding from what Tom said, it's a small little pocket park. So, I don't know. I could find out. Like I said, I'll talk to Tom a little bit more next couple of days, and I can get more information from it. We're supposed to review the plans next week sometime, but I could talk to them and find out, and I could let you guys know. But I mean, it's I can't see it being, a park where someone's gonna let the dog just run loose and run amok. It's just not. I can't see it being a big. There's no way.
I'm trying to understand what the logic or what the motivation is, and I'm sure there is. I mean, I was at the meetings, the public meetings, when there was discussion about this. So there were some people who thought it would be a nice addition. If what we're trying to accomplish is to have a place for downtown people to walk with their dogs so that they're not on the sidewalks, and they're trying to kind of contain, the activity. I think that's fine. A very small park um, with off leash is probably not a good use of that space, just because dogs will, they jump. If it's really small, they're going to be at each other. So we want to try to minimize, get the best combination of activity and size to accomplish what the city's goal is. And I think that there could be value to that. I just want to, I hope that the people that are thinking this through are thinking about use case, not just amenity, adding an amenity to say we have a dog park, a downtown dog park.
I mean, and I'm just thinking logically. I don't quote me, but I know in the past there's been a request, or so with the people that are using the hotels there, and they bring their pets that don't have a place to walk their dog, or I think that might be something for them. Catering towards them to be able to have a place where they can walk their dogs, like you said, on a leash type of thing. I don't know. I'm just.
That makes sense.
So.
But now we do have a place for them to walk, just like every other downtown or New Brunswick resident, So we do have Barkside Park. One of the things, and so I'm glad you brought that up, is the city put together that loose leaf, that flyer for the Barkside Park. So I wanted to take that and put down the Barkside Park hours and requirements. And so that way it could be something that wherever the Heldrich or the Hyatt want to display it, they can either display it and or give to people checking in dogs. So they do know about this. So I did say this, I think at the last meeting, that we wanted to do that, and I just have not done that. But there is an area of opportunity as we speak today for that audience. It's just making sure that they know.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so I said that I would do that, and I just have not. So I'll put something together and pass it along to commission, and then from there, we'll get in front of those two hotels.
Sounds good.
It sounds like you're a dog champion, Judith. I'm surprised you don't have a dog.
Right. We love them though. We love the dogs.
I'd be into like helping and like putting my hat in the ring for more programming in the dog park.
All right,
if you want
cool.
help.
Yeah, great.
Because I have a dog. I think I'm the only no, Josh has a dog. Just kidding.
All right.
We kind of talked about it a little bit with like programming for the dog park, but I would really like to see, and I don't know if this is like a question for recreation, Sal, but I would like to see more programming in the parks, like yoga and plays, like outdoor theater and things like that. Because I feel like we do have nice parks and space for that. Especially, I've been to a few events in Buclic Park that were put on by Mason Gross at Rutgers. So I just would like to make that a priority.
Sure, I agree. I mean, programming is the key to getting our parks used.
Yeah.
Who's in charge of that?
There used to be operas in Buclo Park.
There used to be operas. That's so cool.
I think
Yeah, I would
Judith
love
and
to see
Denise do a
that.
great job of programming. I think they should really take care of that.
Wait, who does programming?
I'm just saying, Judith and Denise have done a good job of putting these kind of things together.
They need to
I
be
think
put
they
on
do.
the payroll, though. They can't just do it voluntarily. They can't be in charge of just doing that.
From a city
Yeah, I see
perspective,
no-
who is that point?
available.
who is that person? You know what I mean? Is there someone that oversees programming and park programming, and or is the point of contact to, like,
There's no one. I mean, Keith Jones has done programming with his own things. Marie Katniss does certain things, but they don't. They concentrate. I don't know. They just don't. It's narrowed down to basically what they do. It's not. It's not broad. Based on a broad the broadness of the parks, I guess, so to speak. I don't know.
okay, that's all
It's
right. So what's
there's
Keith
different
Jones, what's he responsible for these days?
What is that they're
He's
responsible for? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Aaron. Maybe go ahead.
no, I just he's the mayor's, oh, I can't remember the term for it. He's part of the mayor's office, but he then is also still director of human and community services.
All right, so he would be a good, right?
He would be
And
good. I also think Ivan
yeah,
Adorno moved from the mayor's office into the superintendent of recreation, and I think
yeah,
he has a lot of good ideas. He's into the pickleball. I
yeah.
think that he would also be a person that could kind of take that on.
So does
Uh,
Ivan, does that mean he oversees all rec, or is that use-based for him, Ivan?
I think it's all recreation.
All rec,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
I
Okay,
don't think it has to be just youth. I think it's all recreation. I think it's like focused on youth, but I think it could expand to do more. That's just
mm,
my thoughts.
kitty.
All right. Does anyone have any other priorities for the parks that we want to bring up before I
I
move
can
on?
I can raise one issue. I don't know that I'm prepared or we're prepared to really discuss it in full tonight, but the Environmental Commission is in the process of reviewing our sustainability initiatives, and that includes reinstating the green team potentially, and adding or reapplying for our bronze certification as a sustainable city. We had it before COVID for several years. I think it was back to at least 2011, 2014 or 15. And then we were up for renewal um, in 20 when COVID hit and the state um, extended the deadline by a year. And we have never really had a chance to kind of get back to it. There was turnover on the Environmental Commission, the people who had access. But the reason I'm mentioning it is because if you look at the Sustainable Jersey guidelines, the green team is mandatory, and there should probably be a tie-in between Parks and Gardens and environmental to the green team. That's not worked out right now, how that should be laid out. But the Sustainable Jersey criteria has about, I want to say, a dozen, maybe more, categories that you can qualify, you can apply for points. And so whoever ends up, whatever entity ends up being the point on sustainability Brunswick and reapplying for a bronze certification is going to need to be able to work with Parks and Gardens, and there's the mayor's wellness campaign because there's wellness initiatives and arts and culture. So, and different, I mean, it's really very broad. It's about a sustainable live, work, play, learn environment. It's not just the commission. And as I went through all the requirements as I committed to do that for the Environmental Commission, and realized that there is a large opportunity for integration with parks. So I would just put on coordination with Sustainable Jersey and Green Team efforts of the city where applicable. And then we can work that out as, you know, as that starts to unroll.
Sounds good to me.
Judith, your name was on the list. Ha, I found it.
For what? The green?
The Green Team and
Yeah,
Sustainable Jersey in the files. Do you have
that's right.
any comments on how we did that? How parks might support those
So
efforts?
what was
Or
what was I on? The green and that's it? Or yeah, because I was on another one too. And
I
then
think, yeah, I don't
yeah.
know. I think it was Green Team as
Mhm,
as a member, and then
mhm,
Sustainable Jersey. There was a committee that was led
yeah,
by an attorney who passed away suddenly in the middle of his tenure.
yeah,
And that kind of fell back to the
yeah.
city to take care of.
Yeah, not honestly, from my point of view, not much took place outside of getting a team together, having like an introductory call. And then from there, people were to come up with obviously some of their priorities from a resident point of view. But I don't know where it went from there because then COVID happened not too much later. So it kind of just, I would say, stopped, at least where I was involved.
Okay. All
So I
right.
think I think it's a blueprint yet to be developed.
And I think if we just put a placeholder for, you know, come back to look at it when it starts to get more structured.
Sounds like a plan.
Cool.
We've already kind of talked about a lot of the things left on the agenda, but I'm going to go through them anyway. We have previous business flagging items for city follow-up. We kind of talked about the splash pads. Joyce Kilmer is working. Archibald Park Baker is working, and Recreation is waiting on parts. Is that correct, Sal?
That's correct.
Okay. And then the playground improvements we kind of talked about already. We're waiting for follow-up between Dan and Tom to get Tom's final approval for the playground improvements. The next item on the agenda is the Joyce Kilmer Trees project and activities. Josh left. I don't know where he went, but I can give a little bit of an update of what happened at that event. So the first event got rained out. The second one also got rained out. So at the July 29th Mercado, Esperanza Mercado, that they put on, they actually had a reading of the poem Trees. And they also had Josh there talking about trees. And he actually put on some of his climbing gear and actually climbed a tree while there. So they still had like a mini event during the Mercado. So it did get rained out twice, but they did have some sort of smaller event. They still got to do it. And then our next item on the agenda. Oh wait, Josh is here. Maybe. Josh, do you want to give an update of the trees event at the Mercado?
Yeah, can you guys hear me? Sorry, I'm having phone connection issues. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I assisted Charles. Basically, they have the mural artist was there. She did a mock-up of what's going to be installed at the bathroom. And then I was just basically there kind of doing helpful information. Talked to some of the kids and did a little tree climbing demonstration. But it was an enjoyable time. I got to meet with quite a few people, and there was a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm. So, but yeah, Collab Arts is putting on or bringing in the artists, and then I was kind of there because of Charles and a couple other people I had met through this group, just to try to get some information with the trees. And Sal, sorry if I missed this earlier, but Sal and I talked earlier about providing the city providing some trees that we can install probably in October as sort of like a the unveiling or sort of a celebration of the mural once it gets installed.
So there's going to be like a tree planting.
That's the idea, yeah, if it all comes together.
Okay, that's going to be awesome.
Josh, just so you know, I spoke with Joe today, Shade Tree guy, and he's going to put in for 4 dogwoods and 2 Zelkovas.
Okay.
Tree planting.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
No luck on the swamp white oaks. That was not a good option.
He wasn't too thrilled with them for whatever reason. He doesn't.
Okay.
He likes to use the trees that he uses on a regular basis.
Okay.
So I could run about. I mean, if that's what you really want,
Yeah. I mean, we'll plant whatever you guys want in there, but that was just one of the species that I would like to see in there. So it's all good. Whatever you guys do is fine. Thank you.
if we can get them, from the nursery where we purchase the trees, if they have them in stock, then I'll make sure to get him. If not, then he'll just get what he normally gets.
Change the pants.
Right. Yeah. From a management side, I they have to decide what they want in there, but it's just something that if you guys need any help supplying or sourcing or anything, let me know. I have a few connections I can reach out to as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a question on and Aaron, the tree planting event. Is that going to be like community based, or is it just the city and working on an initiative, or is it a bit larger things where we can involve from a community perspective, or groups, the rec department, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts? Like,
is this about the event that we're talking about now?
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, is that okay?
That's supposed to be in coordination with the mural that they're going to be putting painting on the building there. So it's supposed to be a connection of the two.
Right, the mural will happen. They already have a time picked out, which is like August or early August, mid-September. So it's just not a great time to do any tree planting. So what Charles at least told me is it would be like a follow-up event that we would go, whether it's an actual like unveiling or that it's something completely separate. Sorry about the background noise here, but that it would be right there in concert with those other things. But the mural would already be done and installed and everything. But yes, community welcome.
Okay.
I have a feeling that I know Charles isn't here tonight, but we can ask him, I guess, in September if it's going to be a community event. But knowing New Brunswick tomorrow, I imagine they'll involve the community as much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, from what he told me, it would be, they would try to get as many of the students from the sort of summer intensive and then also making an open invite to anybody to participate.
The next item on our agenda is park news. Sal, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you are here. So are there any updates on Feaster and Pittman Park developments?
There's actually tree planting went on, started yesterday over at Feaster Park. So they're starting to put in the trees and shrubs. I spoke with the project manager. Within the next couple of weeks, there should be a considerable amount of work, finished work done. So as far as the grand opening, I don't know that yet, but I know that the park is pretty close to being finished.
Okay. I did get an invite from Clary in the mayor's office for like a Feaster Park. I think it's like a grand opening event.
Grand opening, that's correct.
Yeah, there's like a meeting later this week.
Right. Thursday.
Thursday, yeah. That we were, I don't know if I was invited from the city or I was invited from Parks and Gardens Commission, but I'm going anyway. So I think things are moving along like you said, Sal. So the next one is Cossack Park concerns. So I don't know, Sal, if you've heard about this, but okay, you have. All right. So there's a
We're
senior
actively
building.
working on it. We got quotes on new netting. Tom has been working. He did some calculations and some engineering concepts, and he's been back and forth with the mayor's office. Like I said, I got a couple quotes in yesterday in reference to putting a 30-foot net. But again, Tom is handling it, so that's where we're at right now.
So I don't think everyone knows about this. So there's been issues with the soccer balls from the soccer court being kicked into the windows at the senior building behind Cossack Park. So the senior center has been in contact with the mayor's office. New Brunswick Tomorrow, who kind of like sponsored and helped put in the park, or is very invested with keeping the soccer field there. So the mayor's office has given New Brunswick Tomorrow and I guess the Parks Department like 2 months or give or take, or given them some time to try to figure out a solution before they just take out the soccer field.
Well, we worked on expeditiously on a solution. We have solutions, we just waiting on again the most practical ones. We have quotes for, which is the netting, 30-foot of netting. It all depends on what the mayor feels safe with. So there's a couple different concepts that we're going with. We'll have to wait and see. But we do have some things in planned for it. It's just a matter of what's going to work the best. Okay.
Are there any other park news that you want to share, Sal? I know we've touched on a lot of the parks so far. Are there...
I mean, not off the top of my head. I mean, there's so much stuff going on all over the place. Unless you have something in particular you want to talk about it.
Does anyone else need an update on any parks? We've talked
Yeah.
about.
We're gonna be paving not Pine Street, Remsen Park, Baker Park. We're gonna be paving that soon.
Okay.
So
Good.
that's we took the gates off from what's that, Loretta Street. We had gates there closing it. We removed those and cleaned up that whole section going into the entrance. So there's going to be some big improvements to that park in the next week or two.
And Baker was another park on the list in terms of proposed equipment, playground equipment.
That's correct. Yes.
So that will look good if you get the paving, and then once obviously new equipment comes in, that will really enhance the park.
Right, with the paving we're working on now, so that'll be
Yeah.
done with
Yeah, that looked good.
Yeah.
Okay. The only one and I don't think anyone may or may not have an update, I don't know, is not a park but a garden, and that being the Rose Garden. I know Mary Beth, the champion there, has left being the champion. Did anything, is it just kind of fallen by the wayside in terms of people getting out there, Sal, or do you still see people out there, or is
No,
it?
I haven't really seen anyone. I know Susan's has been trying to kickstart something with the volunteers. Aaron, I don't know if you have anything going on with that.
No.
I haven't really had much time, to
Yeah.
deal with the volunteers right now.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
we've had our guys try to maintain it, and our plan in the next 2 weeks is to get in there and do a thorough cleanup of the garden with our own guys,
Mhm,
and remulch it, and try to get some plants in this fall.
mhm.
But that's as far as it goes. We haven't really had any kind of volunteers in the garden in the past several months.
Yeah, no, I know it's kind of, you know, but is it worth, and Aaron, I don't know if you're close to it at all, or at least you know people actively on, who volunteered, but I don't know if it's worth maybe trying to, and I'm more than happy to participate, but maybe re-engage people and reestablish, you know, a program. Um, I, I don't know if anyone's close to the actual, like, the volunteer and or anyone that's kind of been vocal about doing it, or, like Sal said, there's been some kind of conversations happening. I don't know if anyone's involved in those.
No.
Like
I
I said,
have
Susan Malika was the one that was forwarding
Okay.
information regardless of volunteers. I
So
know there's
maybe then it's worth then Susan kind of sharing where they are with it and where, because we were the ones that the reason why I'm a bit like wanting to drive something is we were the ones that initiated all of this, right? And we got like a small group of people together, and then over a very small period of time, Mary Beth took it over in terms of championing it and then running it, and we kind of stepped back. But we were the ones that, came up with this program, and unfortunately, people leave and such like that, but it's almost like we need to get back into it and kind of help shape, form, whatever it is. So I guess maybe Susan Malika, we can ask her to share on the next meeting
Well,
what's been happening. And
Judith, what I want to do at this point is I want to get my guys in there,
yeah.
and give it about a week or so
Oh
of
yeah.
work. I want to get everything up to snuff, clean it up, and then try to uh, start jumpstart that volunteer program again with the upkeep,
Right.
maintenance, weeding,
So
what it originally was supposed to have been, pruning,
yeah.
trimming, those kinds of things.
So
At
does
this
that
point,
mean,
go ahead.
Sal, when do you want the reentry of the volunteer program? Would it be this year or would it be next
I mean,
year?
we could do, like I said, within the next couple of weeks, I plan to get in there with my guys and do a thorough cleanup and try to, realign the beds and try to get this thing back into shape.
Yeah.
Then anytime after that, if you want to start bringing in volunteers to do to maintain it and keep up with it, to keep it from getting out of control again, then we can jumpstart it again. But I don't want to get too far into with the volunteers at this point,
Yeah.
because it's just going to be a mess. I'd rather get
So
in there, clean it all up,
yeah.
restructure the beds, and have a clean slate, and then move on from there.
So then with that said, is it okay if we put it on the agenda, maybe for Susan Malika to kind of give us, like, from her point of view, where the volunteer program is? And then
Okay,
get a
sure,
better feeling
sure.
just amongst us, right? And get kind of a feeling as to that, and maybe have more thoughts as to what the next steps are from a
Yeah,
volunteer.
I think we do have interest in volunteers. I know Rutgers has a group of volunteers that would continue, and I believe if we reach out to some of the volunteers from um, the, uh, the previous group, I'm sure you'll get those to come back.
Yeah.
Uh, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think at this point we just got to get in there, get the garden cleaned up, restructure the beds, remulch it, and then move forward from there.
Okay. Okay.
I just want to
Alright.
make one comment
Yeah.
about volunteers in general. We were very fortunate that Mary Beth stepped up and took leadership, and she was the kind of person that, unless you told her no, she was going to assume it was yes. And she kept going, and she did a wonderful job. She got a lot done.
Yes, she did.
I don't know. It's similar to what we were talking about with programming for the dog park. There seems to be a function or a role that could be very valuable to, to move these things forward. But as a commission and as volunteers ourselves, I'm not sure we have the capacity to um, to really oversee this. So I'm in agreement with you, Judith, that we started it and it was great, and we should think through how to reignite it within the parameters of we're volunteers and we don't have at the moment a point person who can coordinate all of this on a regular. Takes a lot of work. Sal, you know how many emails you get, and
Yes.
they need supplies, and stuff has to be dropped off and picked up. And we see with the Environmental Commission the amount of time and effort that goes into the pollinator garden and watering, and Anne did, a fabulous job leading that and doing a lot of the work herself. So I just want to caution us to be sure we have an infrastructure for any of the projects that we propose.
Well, just to touch a little bit on what you said, I think if we scaled it back a little, where it doesn't have to be so open to the public in the manner that we had it out there. I mean, it's a great idea to be able to do it, but again, you need someone to be able to run it, a point person. We can simply do with a handful of volunteers to do the basic maintenance. The whole goal at the beginning was to, get a handful of people. We could do some workshops, show them how to prune properly, how to trim and weed, and so on and so forth. And it exploded into this large volunteer program, which again it was great. But unless you have someone to follow through with it and continue with it on a regular basis, and to answer the emails and the calls and all the things that come with it, it's not going to go anywhere. I think if we, again, scale it back, let's start from scratch. Is get this garden cleaned up, and let's start from the with basics. Weeding and pruning, leaf cleanup, those kinds of things, and have volunteers come in at their leisure to a couple hours whenever they want. We can have access to that little shed they have behind the mansion there. We could put all the little hand tools, the wheelbarrow, whatever they need. We could have all the tools there for them to utilize and, do what they have to do. That'll be manageable, I think.
Okay. Sounds good. On the note about Mary Beth, I don't know if everyone on the commission is aware, but Mary Beth lost her husband, who has been a great asset and volunteer and leader in our community on the historic commission. And it was, I think it will be a great loss. And so if you didn't know, I just wanted to make sure that we went on record that occurred.
Oh, I did not know. Sorry. Horrible.
Very, very sudden, very sudden.
Wow.
About
Wow.
this yesterday. I'm sorry to hear that. Gonna shoot
Wow.
her a text.
I don't know, Nancy, maybe have we ever done anything like an official letter from the commission or anything for condolences, something like that? Or is it more on a personal basis? Do you know if we've ever done something like that? I mean, she did do an awful lot of work with and for all of us.
Not that I'm aware of, Denise. I can draft something if you like, if you think that's appropriate.
What does everybody think about sending, on behalf of the commission, our condolences? Sorry to hear about it.
That would be nice.
I think it would be a nice gesture. I think she'd appreciate it.
And Denise, is there an obituary I can reference?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
The service was
Yeah.
last Saturday.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah.
He's a pretty remarkable guy. Yeah, I'll send it to you, and then maybe we can just agree now that it will go out, and we can share it by email, not have to wait till the next meeting.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Does anyone have any communications and reports that they wanted to share? No? All right. Public comment? Charlie, did you want to make any comments? If he's still there. Okay. Yeah, no, thanks for being here. Does anyone else have any questions for Sal while Sal's still here? No? All right. We're gonna end a little early tonight. I'm gonna close the meeting at 7:46 p.m.
Thank
We
you.
need a
Denise.
motion to adjourn.
Do we need a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Denise,
Yes.
I'll second.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you,